Right in the middle of Teacher Appreciation Week, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, we're happy to have you watching CNN Student News. I'm Carl Azus. First up, what the White House is calling an attempted terrorist attack on U.S. soil.
Both of them had assault rifles, came around the back of the car and started shooting at the police car. The police officer in that car began returning fire and struck both men, taking them down.
This happened on Sunday night outside a controversial event in Garland, Texas. People had gathered at a convention center for an event that featured cartoons of the Muslim prophet Muhammad. Drawing Muhammad is highly offensive to many Muslims. The two gunmen who attacked police at the convention center were the only ones killed. They're believed to be Islamic extremists, and the ISIS terrorist group said it was responsible for the attack. U.S. officials are trying to figure out how involved ISIS was. Next story today, Secretary of State John Kerry arrived in Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia, on Tuesday. He's the first U.S. Secretary of State ever to go there. He was scheduled to meet with a number of Somali leaders. The country has a history of clan warfare, violence, and terrorism, but the Obama administration hopes that the Somalian government's work to improve security will take hold. From Secretary Kerry's address to the Somalian people.
The federal government is now working with the new regional administrations to enhance stability and sow the seeds of prosperity in every part of Somalia.
Last weekend, North Korea gave CNN exclusive access to interview a man accused of illegally entering the communist country. 21-year-old Won Moon-ju is a South Korean citizen who's a permanent resident of the U.S. He's a student at New York University who took a semester off. Ju says curiosity led him to North Korea and that he entered the country illegally from China, hoping to get arrested.
But I thought that some great event could happen, and hopefully that event could have a good effect in the relations between the North and South.
Ju says he's not sure exactly what kind of event he'd hoped for. He says he's willing to accept any punishment, which could include prison time, but he hopes that the North Korean government will let him go home. Stateside, 8 people have officially announced their candidacy for U.S. president in 2016. 4 senators, 1 former Secretary of State and senator, 1 retired doctor, 1 former business executive. Now a former governor has joined them. Mike Huckabee served in the state of Arkansas. He announced yesterday that he'll be seeking the nomination for the Republican Party. Roll call. Let's see who's watching this Wednesday. If you find yourself in Boca Raton, Florida, watch out for sharks. Spanish River High School is here today. Dayton's a city in southeastern Washington state, and it's where the Bulldogs are hunkered down. Hello to Dayton High School. And 1 state south in the Beaver State, Medford Opportunity High School is online in Medford. It's in southwestern Oregon. The United Nations just wrapped up an event focused on gender equality. A number of international universities are committing themselves to it, as are some world and business leaders. Gender equality is the concept that men and women have exactly the same opportunities and rights in society, and that they aren't discriminated against based on gender. This can include what people are allowed to do, where they work, what they're paid. These all factor into gender equality.
Women in the United States have it better than many in the world. They aren't forced into marriage at a young age. They can leave the house without their husband's permission. They can pursue an education, serve on a jury, and vote. But there are ways the U.S. lags behind other nations. For starters, roughly 84% of countries, including Afghanistan, guarantee gender equality in their constitutions. The U.S. Constitution does not. Then there's paid maternity leave. Studies show it's good for families and for businesses, which is why many countries insist on it. In France, for example, women are guaranteed at least 16 weeks paid maternity leave, 26 weeks if it's their 3rd child. New moms in Estonia get 2 full years of paid leave. Only 4 countries in the world do not guarantee any form of paid maternity leave. The United States is one of them. It's the only high-income developed country that doesn't. According to the World Economic Forum, the U.S. ranks 65th out of 142 countries in wage equality. Higher on the list are Egypt, Russia, Thailand, Honduras, Ethiopia, and many more. In 2013, women who worked full-time in the U.S. were paid 78% of what men were paid in nearly every occupation. And that gap is even worse for women of color. Hispanic women in the US earn just 56% of what white men earn. And then there's the question of who's the boss. After the 2014 elections, women held less than 20% of seats in Congress. And there are 4 men for every 1 woman on the board of the country's 500 largest corporations. Norway was the first country to instate a quota for corporate board seats, saying women had to fill at least 40%. Other countries like Spain and the Netherlands followed suit.
There's something that can help people with everything from loneliness to heart disease, from social interaction to staying committed to an exercise program. It's not a drug and it's not a class, but for many who own one or more, it's therapy. If you've been doggedly pushing your folks to get a pet, here's some ammunition for your argument.
I'll preface by saying that I'm a pet lover. I've loved dogs, I've had dogs my whole life, and I've always known that dogs improve your mood. Certainly if you have a dog or any kind of pet, you know what I'm talking about. But now there's data to show that it can improve your health as well. People who are pet owners tend to have lower blood pressure, lower triglycerides, and lower cholesterol levels. Not exactly sure why that is. Could be that they're more active as a result of having a pet, but whatever the reason, having a pet seems to improve both your emotional as well as your physical well-being. Stress, anxiety, and depression are something that plague all of us at one time or another. But we know now, even more than anecdotally, that people who are pet owners tend to have lower levels of these things, particularly a hormone known as cortisol. Think of that as the stress hormone. When you have a lot of cortisol in your body, it's usually the result of some sort of stressor in your body. If you are a pet owner, you tend to have lower levels of cortisol overall. It's not that you can't get stressed, it's not that you can't get anxious or even depressed at times, but the peaks and the valleys tend to be much more muted. I was really fascinated by the study that came out of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. James Gurn, looking specifically at children who lived in a home with a pet, and they found that their likelihood of developing allergies was reduced by about 33%. Pretty significant. It could be that just the exposure to the pet from a young age boosted your immune system. And in fact, Professor Gurn also found that the immune system of these children tended to be more robust as well. One of the things we know about living to 100 is that being social is a big part of that. It's not always easy for people to go out there and meet new people. But what they find is that people who have pets are actually out in public with those pets, oftentimes have the pets act as an icebreaker. They tend to be more social as a result, and that can be part of what helps them live to 100.
Mr. and Mrs. Kirkland, Mr. Utley, Mrs. Cook, Mom, these are some of the teachers who influenced our show staff. It's not an easy job, it's sometimes a thankless job, but it's an incredibly important one and one we're honoring this Teacher Appreciation Week. Some businesses offer teachers discounts, some teachers get thank you notes from students whom they often call their kids. We're grateful to all of you for the education you've given us. You've opened the pupils of your pupils, you've sharpened minds and pencils, you reach as you teach, giving academic lessons and life lessons. We can't repay you, but we can say thank you from all of us at CNN Student News.